And let's be honest, you don't want your truck to resemble Swiss cheese on wheels, as it'll be structurally compromised.
Hello everyone, I'm Kevin, your trusty guide in a never-ending quest for truck wisdom. And in this video, we're going to be unearthing the best fixes for C10 truck issues. But before we start on our journey, please do me a solid by liking this video and also subscribing to this channel. Now let's get down to brass tacks. Chevy C10s are hotter than a jalapeno in a heat wave. You've seen them, I've seen them, heck, even your grandma's probably seen them cruising down the road. They're the rock stars of the truck world, and everybody wants a piece of the action. But do keep in mind, a lot of these trucks are 30 to 60 years old, and they come with their own set of quirks and issues. When looking for these trucks, I could tell you that I'd rather find and purchase one that has the least amount of customization as possible. The fact of the matter is that a lot of trucks may be attractive because they have a lot of goods already on them, but you don't know who did these mods and how professional the install was. Now this is unless you have some deep pockets and you can afford a high dollar build that was put together by a trusted shop. But for us regular folk that are on a budget, we have to look for deals and hopefully dodge these issues. Well, first of all, let's discuss the condition of a truck's outer shell, which is the body. And I'm not just talking about a few little dings or dents here, I'm talking about rust, which is basically the nemesis of any proud C10 owner. And I know a lot of you guys are into the whole patina style and all of that, and trust me, I am too, as I've got one of these trucks as well. I mean, come on. Who needs a pristine paint job when you can enjoy the character of rust, right? It's like driving a history lesson on wheels. Like many others, I plan on keeping this truck rusty, as good quality paint is expensive. To get a truck like this to show quality finish would take tens of thousands of dollars, and I have to admit that it's pretty nice not having to worry about possible damage that can happen in parking lots. And believe me, I know what it's like to have a full custom painted vehicle. I had a Chevy S10 that was completely shaved and professionally painted by my friends at Custom Works. And yeah, it was nice to roll around in because it was eye-catching and all, but it needed a lot of extra attention. And that might have been fine when I was younger and I had some extra time, but now that I'm older, having less to worry about is rather nice. All right, well, let me get back on track here with the subject of rusty bodies. And when it comes down to it, a little bit of surface rust is considered acceptable on a patina style build in the truck scene. But rusted panels with gaping holes are not. And let's be honest, you don't want your truck to resemble Swiss cheese on wheels, as it'll be structurally compromised. The thing you're going to want to avoid is severe rust on a truck's cab. Now there are a few common problem areas like the floors and the rocker panels, which can be fixed, but it does take extensive work to repair those pieces. And if you find a lot more rust than just in those areas, it's pretty much considered that a truck's cab is unusable at that point. But other than that, don't be afraid of rust on things like the door panels, fenders, and even the bed, as replacement parts can easily be sourced and simply bolted back on. Now let's talk about suspension, the unsung hero of ride quality. If your truck is sporting the original equipment here, it's basically guaranteed that it's seen better days. All those bushings and cab mounts have probably turned into brittle relics of the past. It's like riding on a roller coaster of discomfort. But there's big opportunity here, folks. If you're already going to be working on the suspension of your truck, why not give it a bit of an upgrade? It'd be like giving your C10 a VIP pass to the Smooth Ride Club. Now, lowering parts are a must, but if you're feeling fancy, go for a coilover swap. It's like a buffet of options, as you can adjust the drop and ride quality to suit your needs. If you're feeling extra fancy and you got some more cash to splash, Air Ride will have your truck hugging the pavement for the ultimate in shock value. Though bagging a truck is a bit more complicated, there are many bolt-on systems that are available on the market today that are easy enough for any novice builder to install in the comfort of their own garage. If you're feeling extra adventurous, you can swap out a complete chassis for a new one for the ultimate in ride quality and handling. These chassis come complete with either coilover or bag suspensions, but they are not cheap. They start at around $12,000 and can easily jump up from there. Another thing to keep in mind when it comes to suspension is steering. These trucks utilize an old school linkage system that have a bunch of rubber joints that rot with time. If you're looking for a cheap fix here, replacing the links won't cost you that much. However, it is preferred to swap over to a modern
rack and pinion steering system, as you'll get better precision and simplicity. Now do keep in mind, most high-end suspension kits and chassis come with these already included. But wait, there's more. Let's not forget about brakes, wheels, and tires. Drum brakes, like your high school sweetheart, may have served you well in the past, but they heat up faster and can cause longer stopping distances. This can compromise your safety, and I highly recommend swapping over to disc brakes. Now you don't have to go all out here. There are some simple kits that will help you in this segment that won't break the bank. And let's talk about wheels. Sometimes they're bent, not round, or even worse, they leak air because dirt and corrosion decided to throw a party on the inside. The real issue here is with tires that have been neglected, and this goes especially for trucks that have been sitting for a long time. While we're on the subject, it is recommended to change your tires after 6 years of age, as the materials they're made of degrade with time. Now just do yourself a favor here and replace them. And luckily for us, Nitto Tire has a bunch of options for classic trucks. I even did a full video on all their tire options to fit the needs of your build. You can see that video by clicking the link in the description below. Now brace yourselves for engine and drivetrain drama, as there could be any number of issues here, starting with oil leaks. Now, though this is common, it can be hard to spot. Oil leaks are a big concern, as you want to make sure that you have enough oil in your system to lubricate all the engine internals. Now there could be any number of seals that are leaking, and depending on the severity, it could warrant a full rebuild. Another common issue is overheating. Now this can be caused by corrosion in the engine and or radiator, a bad thermostat, or any number of leaks. And leaks can come from a cracked radiator, bad hoses, or even a busted heater core. And it's not too hard to fix any of those. What you don't want is a blown head gasket, or even worse, a crack in your block. Now gaskets are not too hard to fix, but if you got a crack in your engine block, you're going to want to replace it. For the engine itself, if it is turning over and firing, chances are you probably don't have any major issues here. If you do, it will be pretty obvious, as you'll get excessive vibrations, or it just won't work. For well-used engines, wear can come into play, as it can be a cause for less power and inefficiency. If your engine is running but not smoothly, you could possibly troubleshoot it with a tune-up by replacing the plugs, wires, checking out the timing and adjusting the distributor. Carburetors can be an issue why your engine won't operate properly, but those can easily be tuned. Now a tune-up is the most cost-effective way to whip your engine back into shape, but nowadays a lot of people look to electronic fuel injection to avoid a lot of these issues. Other than that, the electrical gremlins could strike, which is usually caused by a corroded battery, worn out wires, or even a fuse block that's gone haywire. Now it could be a circus of chaos underneath your hood, and if you want my advice, I would say just rip it all out and start fresh. Trust me, it's a lot less stressful than untangling a spaghetti mess of wires. Always remember that an engine needs three things: fuel, air, and spark. Getting air into an engine is usually not an issue. More or less, you're just putting it through a filter so you don't get any debris inside the engine, which can be bad. But if you know that your starter is good, you're getting juice to your engine, the plug wires are firing, all that stuff, then by process of elimination, you're probably not getting fuel to your engine. Now there could be a number of issues here, something bad with the tank, busted hoses that are leaking, or your fuel pump could be bad. Now you could test this out by pulling the hose that goes from the pump to the engine and cranking the engine. If fuel comes out, then it's good. If it doesn't, then you need to replace that. Other than that, you could have old fuel that loses its potency, and that could be the reason. You've got to drain that stuff out and get some new fuel in there. And as a side note, if your fuel gauge is not working, in your tank is a little float, and it could be corroded and might give you a false reading and all of that. So while you're in the fuel system, that's a good thing to look at too. When it comes to transmissions and rear ends, it's a simple game here. Either they work or they don't. Now it is a good idea to replace all gaskets, flush out the fluid and replace it with new fluid. That will help ensure that if they're running, they keep running. But if either of those items throws in the towel, it's time to call the professionals, because there's so many specialized tools involved in replacing those parts that most people don't have or won't use more than one time. Well, let's cozy on up in the cab and have a chat about interior issues. Wiring is usually the villain of the story here, as a lot of folks like to mess with the electrical system to add things like AC or a stereo, and they end up botching the wiring. I can tell you that chasing down an electrical short can be frustrating. And not to sound like a broken record here, but I think the best course of action is to rip everything out and start fresh. With time and use, the upholstery on these trucks usually falls apart, and this goes especially for the seat, which is covered in vinyl, a material that deteriorates. Now another issue could be the seat itself. The springs could get overworked and break. And trust me, it's no fun driving one of these trucks with a broken seat. I've been there before, not fun. But fixing all of this is not too difficult, and something best left to the professionals again. An upholstery shop can easily fix this within a few hours or a day, for maybe just a few $100. It's not that bad, so nothing really to stress about here. For a lot of the later models, including the square bodies, there's a lot more plastics and even a dash that usually breaks that needs replacing. But it's usually not a big deal here because there's a number of companies that offer replacement parts that you can easily swap in. But while we're talking about the interior, I think there's a lot of room for improvement here. You can find some alternatives with the seating. Snowden and TMI products also have some great seats that you can easily drop in and add some spice to your interior. Now for the grand finale, the decision between repairing and replacing. I say, why just replace parts when you can level up your truck game a bit? Your suspension's a little wonky, why not add some lowering parts that can add some style and also improve your ride quality and handling? If your engine's giving you some headaches, why not replace it with something better that's going to give you more power and speed? Heck, I blew up the transmission on my 62 GMC, and it has been the catalyst of a full rebuild of the truck, including a new engine and chassis. And to be honest, I was never really fully satisfied on how the truck rode, and I thought it could be a little bit lower to fit my preference. And once the transmission blew, I knew there was a lot of work ahead of me, so that just motivated me to go even harder. Though I will say this approach isn't for everybody. Those of you that rely on your truck for a daily means of transportation or anything like that, you might need to figure something else out. For me, it worked. I have another vehicle that I can drive daily where I can have my truck sit while I gather parts and wait for a shop to do the work. Well, there you go, a list of several common problems that you could be facing with one of these vintage haulers and how to fix them. Now that you're well informed of all these issues, you can effectively resolve them. It's also good to know when you need to look for professional help. And in my experience, I think it's good to know your limits on repairing and customizing. Though it's nice to save money by doing work yourself, you don't want to get in over your head. I keep this in mind every time I come across a new challenge I've yet to conquer. I come up with a good game plan in case I can't get the job done. And I do think it's a good idea to challenge yourself. And worst case scenario, you're going to look for help, which you would have done in the first place if you didn't attempt the job. While we're on this subject, I don't think there's any shame in seeking help from others or paying a shop to work on your ride. Yes, there's a sense of pride that comes along with getting your hands dirty, completing a task by yourself. I've been there before, it's great, but I don't think there's any reason to let technical skill or lack thereof get in the way of you building and owning the truck of your dreams. Well, that just about does it for this trucktastic adventure, and it's time for me to sign off. Before I go, I want to thank all of you for watching this video, and I ask that you like this video as it helps us to produce more in the future. If you have anything to say, feel free to drop that stuff in the comment section below. Also, make sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss a future video, and we will catch you next time.
Thanks for watching Driving Line. If you guys like this video, consider subscribing to our channel so you'll never miss any of the content we create here. Whether you're into trucks, Jeeps, imports, domestic vehicles, or anything in between, we are here to fuel your passion. So hit that subscribe button and we'll see you guys next time.